Alright, so I was just watching an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David, and the episode I watched is season 2, episode 4, The Shrimp Incident. And one of the plots in this episode, I think is a good example of the kind of thing that I talk about with this show is that, well, one thing I think is that the character Larry David, the fictionalized version of him on this series, is a sitcom anti-hero. Anti-hero meaning, he's the main character, but he's not a character you're necessarily supposed to like or root for. He does bad things, and it's portrayed as being bad, those things. Now, there are a lot of incidents in like episodes of the show where there are times when Larry David you could say is totally in the right, and situations where the other person is wrong. And there are situations where he's just flat out wrong. But this one is a good example of something that can be a little more common in the show that I've argued with people about before, and that's the situations where Larry is technically right, but he goes about dealing with situations in a wrong way. Even in this situation, can be self-destructive. You see, in this one, the shrimp incident, Larry is going and he's like, gets his order mixed up with somebody else from like a Chinese restaurant, his takeout food order. The guy happens to be somebody he knows. The guy who's the head of HBO. And when Larry gets back with his, correct order that he switched with the guy, find out that it's likely that the guy stole a bunch of his shrimp, ate a bunch of his shrimp. And that's not a good thing to do, stealing someone's shrimp. At one point in the episode, Larry goes back to the restaurant and he says and the guy at the restaurant says they have a very strict policy. They're going to give like 11 shrimp. It's like pretty much always the case, guaranteed, very strict. And Larry got like 2 or 3 shrimp. So the other guy most likely stole it. But here's where it gets a little tricky. He gets to the point where he becomes so obsessed with this. Even to go to the point to take time out of your day to like go to like this restaurant and ask them about their policy to like bring his friend and manager Jeff there, want them to drag him along to that. That's getting to the point where he's taking it to like a level of obsessiveness. And it becomes even more destructive and self-destructive in this episode, where this ends up being one of the things that ruins a TV deal that he was supposed to be doing with him and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. They were trying to pitch a show to HBO, and Larry David confronts this guy at the meeting, the guy who likely stole his shrimp. And this is the thing that basically kind of ruins the meeting. Larry ends up walking out of it. It's also because the guy correctly implied that Larry at one point lied about, having a stepfather who was sick. Larry has no stepfather. So that's one of the things he's being, a jerk about. But the fact that he would let it take it to these extreme, ridiculous, petty, means, that he would let it ruin a TV deal, that's the kind of thing that makes him an anti-hero.